I'd like to begin the meeting, January 23rd of the Hyde Park Town Board meeting. Will everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now call this meeting to order. Is there any public comments on the resolutions for tonight? Okay. A continuation of public hearing for the application of T-Rex Hyde Park for the height variation for 6 buildings within Bellafield Phase 2 Final Development Plan for standalone multifamily residential buildings. The applicant seeks the town board variation from the permitting height of 46 feet to allow the construction of various different height differences. Do we have anybody?
Do a motion.
Yeah.
A motion second.
No, first I gotta,
You
that's,
have to open it.
it's open. I gotta close it if there's no comment.
A motion is to open the public hearing.
Oh, sorry, my cheat sheet's not here.
That's all right.
Motion to open that public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Do we have any public comments?
Could you hold your microphones closer to your mouth?
I got all this stuff in my way, Carney. I start already. It's a historic thing. Okay, if we don't have any public comments or written comments, no?
No.
Then I make a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. All right, we have the workshop, first one, presentation of the MHA for the proposed collaboration with the Hyde Park Police Department and the Enhanced Community Health through Outreach Program.
Good evening. I have with me 2 friends of mine from one is Linwood Burke, who works in the city of Poughkeepsie as a behavior specialist, and Lashavius Dicker, who works in the city of Beacon. So the program that they're going to talk to you a little bit about today is already established and working in the city of Beacon and the city of Poughkeepsie, and we're looking to branch this out into the town of Hyde Park. I don't feel that this is really a want, this is really a need that we have. I'll let these 2 gentlemen explain the whole program, then I'll go in further to why it's important for us and why it would fit here in Hyde Park.
Thank you, Chief.
Good evening, everyone. Like Chief said, my name is Linwood Burke. I do work in the City of Poughkeepsie Police Department. We started this ECHO program, I want to say 3 years ago, I believe, where the City of Poughkeepsie came and wanted a mental health worker embedded in the police station. They felt that this would help the community, help them deal with different things that go on in the city, not just mental health, but a variety of issues that a mental health worker could help with, as far as resources, dealing with things that go on with the community, things that go on within the station itself. So like I said, it's been 3 years now. We're full steam ahead. We ended up opening up not opening up, but having another behavioral health specialist move down into Beacon, Mr. Dicker here. And one of the main reasons this was developed was to help relieve the officers with a lot of the things that they were dealing with, especially when there's other things, criminal activity that they should be responding to. They were being jammed up with dealing with some of the issues that Lashavius and I, and as mental health workers, could deal with. Like I said, it's a variety of things. It could start out with mental health, and it could just be something as simple as a car accident. It could be something simple as a kid having a bad day at school. I know Poughkeepsie's a little different per se than Hyde Park, but I do believe you deal with some of the same issues. I know maybe not as much as homelessness. In Poughkeepsie, it's a lot, but we go out, we community outreach, we deal with things coming into the station, deal with things that other officers are passing on to us via email, via face-to-face, phone calls, what have you.
Yes, and down in Beacon, my name is Lashavius Dicker. I've been down in Beacon for going on 2 years. Come this March, will be 2 years. And down there in Beacon, we deal with more residential calls, like domestic, sometimes neighbors dispute, And, when you get there, it might not be that, and it turns out to be someone is, experiencing an emotional crisis or something like that. But we deal with all type of calls, as well as accidents. If someone is in a bad accident and maybe they're experiencing some anxiety or something like that, I'm there to help them, to get through that. And to, if they need to get into treatment, we link them to services, and then we do follow-up, which is very important to make that connection, let them know that you care. So that follow-up on all calls, whether we help them or not. It's just repetitive, just let them know that there's someone here to help. Because a lot of people don't know the services that are out there. And we have all the connections. We have a lot of services within our umbrella that's easier to cut through the red tape. So we just make a phone call, can get them that service quicker than anybody else. So that's what makes our job a lot easier. And we're there to help. But like I said, a lot of people don't know all the services that are out there in the community to get help. So we're here to provide that service.
And one of the main things about this program is it's not just MHA and the ECHO, and then you have whatever police agency we deal with. It's a team, right? We go into it like that. We come out of it like that. There's a lot of conversation before we go out on any of these calls. There's always conversation after the calls, just so we know. Like anything in life, it's always a learning experience, right? There's always something you can learn from. So at the end of these calls, we sit together and we figure out next time if this happens or we get a call similar, is there something we could do better? And like LaShavia said, the follow-up is one of the most important things because we build a rapport with whoever we come in contact with. That's the whole point, right? We want to be able to speak with these people, call them back, know them by name, know that the resources that we're connecting them with are valuable resources and are resources that are happening. Like we never get out a number or give out a name of something if we haven't checked it already to make sure that it's there and it's real. Because we know how numbers change all the time and businesses go out, come in, and what have you. So this is something that, we're passionate about. We don't just throw it out there and say, hey, this ECHO program, we want to come and we want to help. That's not how it works at all. We have to be a team. Right, I know, I'm sure LaShavius will agree, my time in Poughkeepsie, his time in Beacon, we've built relationships not only with the community, but we've built relationships within the police stations itself. So we're very comfortable going in, speaking with people. Officers are very comfortable coming to us and speaking about certain things. That's what we're there for. We're there for not just the community, also for the officers that are serving our community. And like I said before, we want to make it as easy as possible for officers to be out to do their job. And if we can come in and help alleviate some of that stuff, that extra stuff that you're dealing with on top of the things you really need to be dealing with, then that's what we're going to do. The program has been very successful. We can't be happier that we're here to be able to talk about it because it seems to me that it's moving in the right direction. We do have some other police stations also that have reached out, and people they're interested in this. I think this is something that we talk about a lot. This is a need. This is something that probably should have been happening already, but I'm not going to sit here and complain and say what we should have, could have done because we're here now and the conversation is happening. So I just can't speak enough about it. Like this is something I would hope that the community would agree, and the board members and the police stations, like I said, wouldn't be here if I didn't think they did. So thank you again.
So Mental Health America has been a tremendous asset to the community and to law enforcement in general. So during police reform, when all the police departments were taking a little bit of time to step back and take a look at what we were doing in the service that we were providing to the community, Mental Health America put together de-escalation training that they wrote specifically for us. I was the first one to reach out to them. We put together a 4-hour de-escalation training that they taught to us at no charge. Every one of our police officers has received this 4-hour de-escalation training. And during the police reform movement, we really took a look at mental health, right? So mental health is involved in every single thing we do, as they said, from an auto accident to a neighbor dispute to a domestic. So if we don't evolve with the times and start providing our citizens in the community with some help in the mental health aspect of it, we're not doing anyone any favors. We're not doing us any favors, we're not doing the community any favors, because I don't want to have to keep going back to that same residence because someone's having a mental health crisis and they don't want to talk to a clinician. These gentlemen here are behavior specialists. They're not clinicians. They're not psychiatrists. They're not counselors. They're behavior specialists. So it breaks down that barrier of, I'm not talking to the police. I'm talking to someone who's here for me, right? So these gentlemen are assigned to the police department. They work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. They have their own office inside the police station. They have their own vehicle that they respond to calls from with their own cars. We have to provide them with a bulletproof vest and a radio. And they not only are helping the community, but they're helping our officers. One of the things that we're focusing a lot on in administrative ranks of law enforcement is officer wellness. As we all know, we deal with things that people really fear, right? The things that I've seen with my eyes, I would not wish on a lot of people, right? The death, the destruction, the abuse that we've seen. And sometimes we need to talk about it. And what's nice about talking to some of my counterparts in Beacon and City Poughkeepsie, they also will pop in and sit down and chat with these guys about a call that they had and try to help themselves, because again, you're not talking to a psychiatrist, you're not talking to a counselor, you're talking to a behavior specialist who's there to listen. So this program won't just help the community, it's also going to help our staff and our officers in dealing with some of these situations and cases that we've dealt with throughout our career. So that's why I say to you, this isn't just a want, right? This is a need that I feel we need for our community. And the best part of the whole thing is that the first year will be paid for on a grant. So Mental Health America has received money to pay for the first year. So we can try this program out for a year, see what is working, what's not working. We can adjust as we go. And if we feel at the end of a year that this isn't a program for us, which I don't feel it will be, we have a way of opting out of the program. So the way that everything has been laid out to the supervisor and I, who went to a presentation with members of Mental Health America, as well as my two gentlemen that are here with me, the next year we would have to pay for that person out of our budget. But it gives us a year to be able to find that money in our budget, to be able to help fund this program and continue the program. And I don't feel that this is something I would ask for if I didn't feel this is something that we need, right? So we deal with so many cases here that we're back at the same house over and over and over again. And we want to try to help them, but we can't because we're not counselors, right? We are not trained the same way the behavior specialists are trained to be able to help in those situations. That we don't have these resources at our fingertips as these gentlemen have. And they cut through all that red tape and get people the resources that we need. So I'm so excited about this program, and I've talked to Lynn about it, I've talked to the supervisor about it, and I just feel that this is something that we need here, and I wanted it to be done in a workshop, as the supervisor did, so we can explain to the community what we're doing. We're not just sitting back and waiting for things to come to us. We're being progressive, and we're out trying to make a difference, right? And I feel, and I've talked to clients of those, I talk to officers, I talk to civilian staff that work in both these police departments. They can't speak more highly about the work that these gentlemen do on a daily basis. And I'm thankful for people like you guys who are there to help us. As they said, we're a team. And we go in this together, and the end of the day, we want to provide the best service to the community that we can provide. And by doing that, we need to implement a system like the ECHO program and partner with Mental Health America to be able to do this.
Thank you, Chief Linwood. Last time we had the presentation, obviously you could tell I'm all in on this.
I'm glad of that.
That's why, but it took a little while to get you here.
That's okay.
Were you able to find another officer to work here? Remember at that time, she said they were looking for someone?
Right, not another officer, but another behavioral health specialist.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, I gotta change that language.
Yeah,
We could take another officer if you got one, too.
I'm sure. It took us a little while with the hiring process, the interviewing process, and we thought we had someone that was, we thought, a strong candidate, and, life happened. So, but we continued, and we do have someone which we think will fit in very nicely. They'll be trained by LaShavius and I. They're going to come to our respective locations and work with us for a little while before you get them. And we're hoping that we'll be able to come, take different times to come out, to be able to be here with them, to get them going, and if that's okay with you guys.
I don't mind being a silver sometimes, but I don't want to be fourth, put it that way.
No, gotcha.
I'd like to be number one, but that's all right.
Yeah, it's okay. But so, just to piggyback off what the chief was saying, the one things that we've noticed, or that we've figured out once we got there, the repeated calls, right? People just calling for what have you. Us being there alleviates some of that, right? That's a big issue, especially when dispatch is dealing with a lot of things going on, and we all know day-to-day is different. But when you have individuals that are repeat callers, and they're just calling because of the cat's neighbor, or whatever the case may be, that's something the behavioral health specialist could go out and maybe speak to that person about, right? To alleviate that call keep coming in. Maybe we give them a number to contact us and we take the calls, what have you. Lashavis and I are pretty good with being able to be contacted by different people at all times of day, night. We're pretty open that way. Hopefully the person coming here will be okay with that as well. But you guys will always have our contact as well. So,
So you do calls at night? Because
Well,
I kind of
we
work a
work,
little bit in the field.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know
really,
that there's not a time clock when these events happen.
Yes.
no, it's
Something
not.
happens, a family is in crisis, let's say at 11 o'clock at night.
So we also have, because
crisis,
this is MHA, right? And
So you
MHA is
use
a
your
facet
mobile
of different
team
things,
then?
but we also have the mobile crisis team.
Okay.
And the mobile crisis team is 24/7.
Right, they come out.
So, you know, if we, for some reason, we're not available or can't get there, the mobile crisis team, that's what they're designed for, so.
And that's part of this program, or
But
that's just
no,
part of
no, it's
what
not part of this
FHA does
program.
anyway?
It's part of MHA, it's not part of the
MHA.
ECHO program.
But also, if mobile crisis is not needed, then the officer can leave us an email, shoot us an email, or leave a note on our desk, and then the next day when we come in, we'll follow up on that.
Follow-up.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Got domestic, you go with an officer, obviously.
Yes,
Well,
we pretty much go in every call.
Every call.
There's times that we're out maybe on our own, but maybe follow-ups, maybe, you know, things that we know of actually, you know, we're not going out. If we know that the person that we're going to visit has a history of violence and what have you, probably not the best thing for us to go out by ourselves. And I know the stations where we're at, they're pretty good. If we ask, you know, we want to follow up with so-and-so, getting someone to ride out with us, or we ride with them.
Right, it's a combination, like mostly, we ride with an officer, and so we respond with them on every call. And then there's times where we will go do a follow-up, but we would have a radio, and we'd radio the dispatcher, let them know where we're at all times. Because if we get there, and that can change, you know, we go there to talk to somebody, and that could totally change, so they need to know where we're at all times. And if we are responding to a call with an officer, we don't go in there first. They are the one in charge, and they will make sure that everything is clear before we come in and talk to the person. You know, safety is very important. We don't want to interfere with what the officer got to do, so we wait until they say, okay, you guys can come in.
Excellent.
And-
I love
and-
the follow-up.
Yeah, it definitely has to be the follow-up, because it's the only way it works, right? We tell somebody, yeah, we have this, and then we don't talk to you again.
It's going to happen.
That's,
again.
Right.
and we get the fact that we may speak to someone today, and it may take 5, 6, 8, 10 times before that person grabs on to what we have to offer, or to take the help. I'm not sure of how much everybody's familiar with mental health and substance issues, things like that, but that's par for the course. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how it is. We have success stories, and we have people that we've gotten into treatment, got housed, are clean, reach out to us to thank us. And then we have those that, I saw people today that I've seen for the past month, 2 months.
Repeat it.
Yeah, it just is what it is. We don't approach them any differently. We approach them the same way. We built rapport, so it's almost a conversation, like, hey, what are we going to do today? Are we up for it today? And, you know, this is what we have, same thing we spoke about. And some people will grab on, and we may get them up there, and then a week from now, they're back out where we saw them the last time. So,
And it's not just mental health.
no,
Yeah.
not at all.
You know, it's a lot of drug addiction as well, you know, especially out there in the community. There's a lot of folks that are, you know, on drugs or alcohol, you know, alcohol and stuff like that, alcoholics, and our addiction to, you know, alcohol, and we get them, link them to services, whether they're a veteran. We have a veteran service program also within MHA. So we have a lot of the services available within MHA to offer at the time.
So you said that it's 1-year grant. Is there a possibility to get more grants to pay for subsequent years? Or is it kind of, you only get the 1 year?
For right now, what we're getting now would be an award that we would get from MHA. MHA got this directly from, actually one of them was a very large donation from someone here in the town of Hyde Park that was given to MHA towards this program. So Dr. Lisa Connolly and Andrew O'Grady really pushed hard because they knew when we first met that this was a need here, and they pushed to find the money for it because they know that, times are tough, right? But we have to understand that the drug addiction, the mental health piece are all contributing factors to people in crisis, right? So it doesn't just center on, as the gentleman said, on just mental health, but it all contributes to the same thing, right? They all are people in crisis and in need, but not everyone wants help, right? But the ones that do, this is an avenue that we have that we can provide to our residents to be able to get help. This goes along with the Beat Patrol, which we've been doing for 2 years now. So for 2 years now, we have 2 officers that are trained and work alongside someone from Mental Health America who comes out and they go out into the community 8 hours a week. And they go out and they meet with different people that are homeless in our area, people that may be in crisis. If there's a call that comes out, they're going out and helping us now on a part-time basis. But as you said, not everything happens, while they're working, right? So this will also give us ability for our officers to be able to learn from the behavior specialists on helping deal with different situations, right? I'll tell you, from somebody who's been in law enforcement for 30 years, I was never trained on how to deal with people in crisis, right? We always walked in and the authority, we thought of wearing a uniform was like, oh, that's enough, people will stop when they see a uniform, but they're in crisis. Right? And they didn't give us enough training to deal with people in crisis. So what's going on across America is police departments are partnering with people like Mental Health America to find people to work along with us and go in together and as a team approach, but yet they're not police officers and they're not clinicians. So people will talk to them more than they'll talk to us sometimes, or talk to a doctor who may have them committed, right? Because they feel they're just going to take me to the hospital and make me get locked up. Well, that's not our number one goal, right? Our number one goal is to get that person help and have us not have to continue to deal with them. And I couldn't imagine what some of these people are suffering with, that they're getting to a point where we're dealing with them in crisis, that they're in crisis so much. And I just couldn't imagine what it's like for that person. And I don't want them to suffer like that. And this is a tool that I think that we can use and partner that is going to, for the first year, cost us nothing. And after that, I think whatever the cost is, I think is minimal when you think about officers that may be injured dealing with people that are in crisis where we have to turn to using physical force, right? So we're going to lose an officer to an injury. We're going to lose to a lawsuit because we didn't have the de-escalation techniques that these gentlemen have. Right, so I think this is something that we need, and I think it's something that is very important to the police department and to the community that we serve.
Chief, that sounds like an asset. I just have really a question for Mr. Burke and Mr. Decker. What are your parameters for self-defense if you're met with deadly physical force on some of these? I mean, you're dealing with, mentally ill,
Right.
People in crisis, high emotions, and I'm just wondering how you gentlemen deal with that.
Well, we do not, get physical with anyone. If we get to that point, we step back and let the officer come in. The officer is always there, present, when we're there talking to someone. So it's not like we're there by ourselves, unless it's like a follow-up. But we do also do training, like scenario training, active shooter training, things of that nature with the police department. So that way we know exactly what to do in a situation occur. Because it's like we're a second pair of eyes and ears for them, and they are for us. So it's like we work together as a team. Like I said, they clear the scene before we even go in. We don't go in there and just take over. They make sure everything is safe and secure for us.
I think my question, if I may go a little deeper, is the scene is secure, but then it escalates and a firearm is brandished or physical force is thrown at you, one of you guys?
So,
We do have on vests, but
Okay.
we also,
I was going to ask what other equipment you have in the field.
besides the walkie-talkie up in the radio, we have
Look, this is-
a vest on.
this is, it's the real world, right? We know what we've gotten ourselves into, and we know what, I guess, could happen, couldn't happen.
Potential.
But the fact is, we really don't know, right? Walking in,
Right.
what could be. The officers are very good at their job and making sure things are okay as we go and we're speaking to people, but like you said, things could, in a blink of an eye, I guess, could change. I don't have an answer that says that we are bulletproof, because we're not. We do wear vests, as officers do, but we've both been in situations where it has been a little hairy, but the officers we've never come out skeeved, and we've seemed like we're good. I mean, the officers do their jobs very well, and we are involved in training, so we kind of know not to be in the way.
Also, working with all the officers and being around them, you kind of get cues. You know, they see someone is starting to
Yeah.
escalate, you know, you give each other cues and like, okay, all right. Then they might be like, nod or whatever, then we step back and they come closer and start coming in. So that way, we don't get harm or anything like that. So-
I know in my time there, from my beginning to now, my thought process and things that I thought and things that I know have changed, and all for the better. But I do know, like LaShavia said, the longer that we've been in the stations and working with each officer, you kind of work together without really having to say anything. You kind of know. And it's been nothing but an asset for the both of us. And I feel we've learned, as much as we've learned from the officers and the police stations and how they go about their day and things that they do and how they approach situations, I feel like they've learned as much from us. I know for a fact, because I see it when officers are dealing with individuals, from the beginning to now, and certain things that are said and the way they're said and what we can offer and things like that. I think in itself, that's one of the biggest assets, because like Chief said, not everybody was trained the same way and know how to deal with certain things. And that's not something negative or to say you should have known. It's just the real deal, right? If you don't know, you don't know. If you were never taught that, you don't know that. So when we come into something, we bring knowledge, we bring things that we've dealt with and how to deal with certain people. And from the law enforcement side, we learn and see things and see how they go about it and what, these cues that they see and things that I would probably never even have thought of.
Right.
There was a situation, we went into a situation and there was knives involved and things of that nature, but my first instinct was to step forward and speak. Now, I'm not a fool, I wasn't going to think I was getting close enough to get injured, but that is my, and so one officer said to me one day, he said, you got to think of it like this, you as mental health workers, you're like this, we're talking, as officers, it's space, right? So, I'm just doing my job, going about my everyday business, and the officer was like, hey. And then it clicked, like, holy crap, man, you're right, yeah. So, it's, I guess anything can happen.
Right.
We take every precaution, and at least we think we are, to make sure things don't happen. And it's a self-awareness, right? Be aware, just don't walk through it as if...
Also, after we dealt with someone, we talked to the officers and they come back with feedback. We discussed the situation and how could we improve the situation, like what they did, what we did, and how to make things better. I was on a call down at the train station, and there was a guy on the platform who was making, statements. So, of course, immediately I go up there, and then, one of the sergeants was like, hold up, because I was going in front of him. Now, we're on the platform. On the back, behind me is the tracks. So he was like, oh, no, don't get in front, because he could push you, and I fall in the tracks, I could get hurt. So things like that, they teach us, like, okay, where you should stand to be safe, and we talk about it afterwards. I didn't know, I wasn't thinking, but see, they are, as an officer, is always thinking safety, how to protect themselves. And I'm going up there just to try and talk to the guy to see, if I can help him, not knowing that I'm in front of him and the tracks are behind me. So that was, I appreciated him for letting me know about safety and where you should be at in different situations.
And the gentleman coming up here, we assure you, he'll be trained on all that? We'll make sure.
Yes, from our experiences.
Right, we'll make sure he knows
Yes.
what's going on.
So-
One thing I don't think I'm sorry.
I was just going to ask, you said that you also are there to help the officers if they're after a particularly, I know you guys see horrible things because, I hear them at work, but what do you have now?
So,
How do our officers
So
deal with
currently-
the stress of their job now?
So currently, what we do in a situation where we feel that an officer needs help, this New York State Police has a peer counseling group. So we'll notify them and we'll set up peer counseling for the officers that are involved, including the lieutenant myself.
So do you think that this would be more beneficial, that they're right there in-house? Maybe, casual conversation can sometimes bring out.
Well, I think what I'm most excited about is that, as the gentlemen are talking, they build a rapport, right, and be able to read people, and they will see changes, right, in personality. It was one of the first things that you look at when someone's having a hard time, right? So, being that they're there all the time, they'll be able to see that and just check in, So I think that is going to absolutely help. We noticed a difference when we first had our DART advocate, because we also have a domestic abuse response team member in our building part-time too, that some of the guys, after handling some of these domestics, would go in and chat with her about what they saw and what was going on and how it affected them. And, when you have children, you're dealing with some of the things that we're dealing with that involve children, it hits home and hits a little bit different. And again, I think that with these behavior specialists in our building and being able to see us on a daily basis, you'll see when someone's off or when someone's, may be struggling with something, and they can approach them without, them going and asking for help.
Added benefit, that's what I was.
Any other board
It
members
is,
have any
yeah,
questions?
it is a good benefit. It's a great benefit.
I'd just like to, and I'm not holding you to any numbers, but I know the grant for the first year is free. What would be the cost or for the salary and benefits and everything, approximate dollar amount, just so I have a number in my head so that moving forward, we all know what, after the first year, if it's.
So
successful,
this year, it's costing between $75,000 and $80,000 for everything that is covered by Mental Health America. We don't provide payroll, we don't provide benefits. What we provide is we pay a voucher that is sent to the town quarterly, and the town would pay that voucher. So this year, currently, it's between $75,000 and $80,000.
And is there, in Beacon, I'm just trying to go over these numbers just in comparison, do you know what the population is in Beacon compared to the City of Poughkeepsie report? Number of people or something, so what I was getting at, do we really need one person here, or could we do a shared service where if they put a couple more municipalities come on, like Rhinebeck or Red Hook, could we share one employee between two municipalities?
I think that, especially for the first year, we'll be able to answer that question after we get involved, but I'm afraid what we deal with having the part-time domestic violence abuse advocate and a part-time beat patrol is that, like Nicole said, they're not always there when you need them, right? So by having them there 5 days a week, we'll be able to build that rapport. And so many times people will call and say, yeah, I want to talk to the domestic violence advocate, and she's not in the building. So then we have to call Family Services, we have to try to get a hold of her to be able to give that service to the community. So I think after the first year, we would be able to better answer that question. But from my experience here and being here long enough, I think we have plenty of work to keep the program going. But that's a good question. I think we would be able to answer that better after we get some time under our belt.
Now, right now, you have the mobile crisis that comes out for your beat, correct?
Mobile crisis will come out when they're
So
needed to, yes.
having a behavioral health specialist, the ECHO program here alleviates that, because the ECHO, I do the same thing with the City of Poughkeepsie. I go out with them on their beat program. It just works because the person's in-house. They're probably going to be there when the majority of the calls come in from, let's say, those individuals, right? Versus then you have somebody from the mobile crisis team come, and if you have somebody in-house already there, already dealing with it, go out, that rapport is built quicker, and they know, along with the officers they're out with, the individuals involved.
Yeah, so Mental Health America is also monitoring the mobile crisis unit at this time. They started last year, so they're the partner who is in charge of the mobile crisis unit and making sure that's properly staffed. And we'll still have that
Yep.
available at, when we feel we need it.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
Anybody
you.
else?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
No question.
No questions on that?
Fully supportive.
Okay. Discussion on Bellafield amended IDA application, tax-related, going before the Dutchess County IDA. I have to put on the record that I am a Dutchess County IDA board member, and I will have to recuse later if necessary. Okay? Thank you. Good turn.
Sorry, when you get done, grab it. 2 seconds, go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Have a great night.
You too.
You too. Be safe getting home.
Yes, hope we'll all be talking to us.
Got it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Supervisor. To my right is Tom Mulroy, CEO of T-Rex. To my left, Jennifer Van Tile, land use attorney. Larry Pelletier with T-Rex is behind us, and Amy is helping us out as well. Larry Boudreau with Belfield. Thank you very much for having us on the agenda tonight. I'm going to let Jennifer start, and then I'll roll to me, and then Tom.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us on your agenda. We're here tonight to give you a little verbal summary of an application that we've submitted to the town several weeks ago seeking an IDA pilot. So I'm going to start by just some basic explanations of what IDAs are, what pilots are, and why we're interested in that. I think you're aware there is a Dutchess County Industrial Development Agency, and there are these agencies throughout the state. Some are county level, some are city or village level, and their purpose is all the same: to promote qualified development in order to advance job opportunities in the community and to stimulate desirable economic development, and by doing so to strengthen the local tax base. Now, the qualified development can be commercial, types of retail, rental, residential, etc. So one of the 4 major tools that an industrial development agency, IDA, I'll use the acronym, has in the toolbox is something called a pilot, which is abbreviation for payments in lieu of taxes. And what those are is temporary tax abatement of real property taxes through payments that are agreed on in advance. Now, I think there's a few factors that we have to understand about pilots. The first is that they're not unlimited. They're always for a period of years, sometimes 10 years, sometimes 20 years. And under the agreement, the payment that is made in lieu of taxes increases over time. The idea being that all projects are a little tender and in need of some help right at the beginning. It's after they start getting on their feet and get developed that they're able to be more self-sufficient. So the payments increase over the period of the agreement. And at the end of the period, the assessments are back up to 100% or the same as everyone else. But the interesting thing about the pilot is while those payments are being made and they're increasing, the value of the land is increasing tremendously, because what you've incentivized, what an IDA has incentivized, is really adding a lot of value and taxable value to the property. So I think you can look at a pilot as a way of unlocking the potential of land to be a source of real property taxes in the long term for the community. Now, the period of time, Belfield is asking for a 20-year pilot, which is the longer of the two commonly used periods, because of the size of the property. It's 340 acres of property. The development is going to, estimated to take at least 10 years to build out. And because of the size of the project, and also because of the added benefits that Belfield is proposing to give to the community. And those added benefits are set forth in the application that you have before you. One is Belfield plans to be a community catalyst, right? I mean, the town has wanted the Belfield property to be developed since 2005. You enacted a special zoning district to have Belfield, or have a project come to be just that kind of catalyst for a very special kind of development. The Belfield project makes a commitment to the town of Hyde Park of over $25 million. It's using a local workforce and creating more than 240 construction jobs, and between 120 and 180 permanent jobs in the town, as well as using energy efficient and green technology in building out the project. So we have submitted a detailed economic report prepared by Camoin, a company that has worked with Belfield over a period of years and done their financial and fiscal analysis. And I'm certainly not going to try to use this workshop time to summarize every column and cell in that very detailed report, but I will say that it concludes that the project, both to the town and to the school district, are net positive in a financial view, even during the period of the pilot. So one of the key factors in a pilot, probably the most important one, is that it's necessary. In fact, that is the foundational requirement for the Industrial Development Agency, and you, as the town, are being asked to support and consent to that pilot. And really that the project would not be able to begin and really get started and become a reality without your temporary assistance. And as I said, it's right at the beginning that a project really needs help, because it takes a huge amount of capital and investment and will. I think some of you know the period of time that the project has been in review, and that's because it's a big piece of property. It required a lot of analysis. The town quite laudably wanted to be very certain that it was the right project for the town of Hyde Park. So I'm going to turn it over now to Larry Boudreau, who's president of Belfield, and he's going to go over some of the factors to review the need for the pilot and some of the details.
Thank you very much. Great job.
Thank you.
Great job. A lot of what I had in here was in there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But great job. Just to get everybody updated on a few things. One, Camoin is a third party hired by the IDA. They're very, very familiar with them. We, before T-Rex, Belfield, I was at Chazen, and we'd also consult with them. So I'm very familiar with what they do. They were hired to do a reasonableness assessment for financial assistance. So I did bring copies here. It's an economic model. It has pro formas in there based on the 20 years, and it looks at both financial scenarios with a pilot and without. And you can clearly see when you review the pro formas why it doesn't perform financially for a developer. Developers taking a risk, they need to hit certain threshold financial model numbers to make it a go. Tom and I, we've done this quite a bit, but if you don't hit that number, it's a no-go. The pilot makes it a go. The project, again, this is for our phase 2. So currently we have with the town board our phase 2. This pilot is larger than what we submitted to the town board because we included the full build-out of our phase 2. It does not include, however, the for sale townhomes, which is in our phase 2, and that's shown in the analysis. We did have a call, Tom and I and the Belfield team had a call, Kelly, a week and a half ago with the school board. We wanted to give them a general introduction of who we are and the project specifically. We were on the phone probably about an hour, hour and a half. They did ask us for some additional information, which we're going to provide to them this week. That included the number of school-age children, which we also provided to the planning board. They wanted to know the same question, which is 69 for this phase. And they also wanted to know the benefit going to the school board dollar-wise with the pilot. And that's actually broken down in the Excel model, so we can provide that to them. With that, that's really, we're here to discuss any questions that you might have. I do have the Camoin report. We can go over that. Any questions that you might have on that?
We didn't get any of the reports, did we? What was it? Did we distribute it? Oh, no, I can't. There's no.
Yeah, I have copies. Amy, could you hand those out? The Camoin report? Yeah.
No, they were in their submissions.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. So
We had them
so they
at
have
the
it.
last meeting, right? They were the last meeting. Yeah, I have it at home.
Oh, 2 months ago, a month and a half ago. Okay, so they're the same numbers. Huh? Gotcha. So, just explain to me, so I'm clear on it. I understand the pilot and everything. So do we have to, so are there different entities, like the fire district, the school district? They all have to vote on the same thing, or are we voting on it as one? I'm not clear on that.
Okay, there are special districts that this pilot does not touch. Fire district's one of them.
Okay.
Library is the other. The bond that was taken out for the fire station, those aren't touched. It's the county, town, and school.
School, okay.
And that's why the school, and the majority of that is the school. That's why they're, really taking an interest in it, of course. Tom, do you want to?
Thank you again for taking the time with us. This is really important, and we've done so much work with the town to get the project to the point where it is right now, and more so than any other time, because we had a pilot with the hotel. It was a 10-year pilot, and with costs going up and so forth, it was a struggle. I can tell you the next phase, especially with the commercial tenants, which are only going there because of the potential tenants, the residential tenants, the costs have gone up to a point where the rents have to adjust, or the financing won't be there. And it really is, without this, it really is DOA. I mean, it's never been more evident out of all the analysis we've done. Forget about COVID, just the supply chain and the cost and the delays. These tenants are struggling, and we have some good tenants that are really good. City Winery, a David Burke restaurant, a few of these tenants, and it's real predicated on getting this. And that's, looking at the numbers, it's sort of black and white. Everyone sort of benefits here over the long term, but it's really getting them in up front to establish themselves But again, thank you for your consideration, your time, and we're continuing to work through this and try to get this up and make it a reality.
One quick thing that Tom actually brought up when we were talking to the school board, because they were questioning the residential side of the village neighborhood and, separating that out. But we've explained that the commercial needs the residential side and the residential side needs the commercial. This is a true mixed-use development. They need each other in order to work.
Yeah, on this phase two, it includes 344 of the rentals, and the other phases are for sale, so that wouldn't be part of any future IDA. It's just this phase, and the commercial that's there is purely dependent on those residences coming into the rentals there. And again, beyond that, there's 801 residential units in the entire project. 344 are rentals in this next phase. So there are no future phases for residential IDA and so forth. That's what we explained to them. But the commercial is clear. I mean, these are commercial tenants that need those tenants. They're not warehouses. These are front office that need that foot traffic there. So.
I have a question. The payments that are made in lieu of taxes, is there a certain percentage that's figured out? Is that something that's worked out with our controller? And as you get more businesses and residents, does that percentage go up over that period of time that you're looking for? I believe you were looking for like a 20-year extension.
There is a table in the report, and what Camoin does is work with the IDA, and on the 20-year pilot, every year of that 20 years, Sarah at the IDA, she tells Rachel, who prepared this from Camoin, what that percentage is for each of those years. It doesn't change, but it does go up, over time, and that's in the report.
Right, it's on, I think it's page 4 of the submission. It just shows that every year between 1 and 20 from CFO going forward, how the tax will increase further and further on a percentage of what the full tax would be. By the end of year 20, it's a full assessed value and going forward. But in early years, it's really crucial until we get our permanent financing on it.
I understand. Thank you.
Starts at 11 and then ramps up.
I remember reading that and looking at the costs of, say, the apartments and the residential, and some of it, if I recall correctly, is probably higher than the residence's costs right now, currently in this area. So do you have, this may be naive, but do you have like an excessive marketing group or system to bring people in that would ordinarily not be paying that kind of price for an apartment? Because if all this necessitates working together and each section has to succeed for the rest of it to succeed, where are you going to get these tenants?
Well, that's obviously that's obviously the marketing risk here, and who we joint venture with, depending on what phases is on the multifamilies. All those reports will be done on how the costs are going to be and what rents are they achievable, where is our market, what is our target market. We feel they'll be bringing tenants from outside the market here. It won't be just local 3-mile rings. They'll be definitely coming out. Some of them, we're hoping, the big goal here is to bring them here, get used to being in the Hudson Valley, used to being in Hyde Park, liking this community, and then segueing them into transitioning to buy a project, buy a unit here for sale. Because again, of 801 residential units, only 344 rental. We're going to work very closely with them. There might be some synergies once they're there to go right into buying a unit, because that's our ultimate goal, is not just keep them renting, is to get them into buying a unit.
Can I just say something? I think your comment really brings out 2 key points, and that is, one, the synergy between the rentals and the commercial in the village. The residential is what brings the there, and the fact that there's the there of City Winery and other, the ability to be in a pedestrian environment with some buzz of different shops and different types of residents is the reason that people will leave the city or will leave more urban areas and come up here. This was something we studied very, very deeply before the amended concept plan was approved. And I think at that time, a lot of people thought that the rentals that were being proposed were very high, but they were not high in the context of other places that had these kind of amenities. And the good news and the bad news is that over the approximately 2-year period since those rates were, those rentals were initially proposed as part of the original environmental analysis, now those rentals are routine. If you check the price of rentals, our daughter looked for an apartment in Dutchess County and waited over a year to find anything. The vacancy rate, I think, is 0.6% or 5% in the county. So people across all price ranges, there's nothing available. But I think that in the context of post-COVID, I think if we look at even the for-sale market, we see certain things happening. But the fact is, there is a demand. And one of the points I think that Larry and I made when we first started working with the town board on the amended concept plan is there are people who don't want to own anymore. They want more freedom to move from New York to Utah and find there to be a good amount of flexibility in rentals and yet want very good quality. So this is a community that has a mix of all types of residences. As Tom said, the for-sale product is never going to be the subject of a pilot. The reason that these, a rental building is a commercial building, right? And the fact that it's integrated with the commercial hub of the community makes that part of it. But I think the rentals are really quite realistic now. In fact, I think that when Tom and Larry crunch the numbers, it's part of the reason why a pilot is needed, because if you know the cost of materials from every place from Home Depot to every supplier, even being able to get certain materials, these delays cause a lot of problems, cause prices to go up. Somebody orders 40 windows for a building and gets 20, it's a difficult situation, but I think they're realistic.
Okay, so what are the next steps?
Well, obviously, we're not trying to foreclose any future questions you have after you do a deep review of our application. We're more than happy to have our technical people meet with the town's technical people. This is something where we need your approval very much, and we know we need to make you confident that this is a good thing for the town of Hyde Park. We need to make the same case for the school district, and that's essential. So we're happy to answer any questions that you have at a daytime meeting, another workshop, whatever pleases the board, and we'll give you the information you want.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Were you going to do the other
That's what I was saying.
at the same time?
I can speak now.
But thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
It's just in for a resolution. So that details what's been updated. It doesn't really change your determination. I'll make a comment about it and about Pete's letter when we get to that resolution.
Okay. All right. Now I can speak again. Okay, continued discussion on a request received from Ashito to the Town of Hyde Park Board for reduction of their building permit extension fee for the Saki manufacturing project.
Good evening. Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. First off, thank you for the cooperation tonight. Do appreciate the extension.
They didn't know.
Okay.
He had some car trouble, but luckily we had some longer presentations before you, so we
That's
didn't have
perfect.
to move anything around, and
I
here you
definitely appreciate
are,
it.
so
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you very much. So my name is Brian Sensabaugh. I'm an attorney with Zarin and Steinmetz on behalf of the applicant Asahi Shuzo International Co., Ltd. This is with regard to the Sake Brewery project on 5 St. Andrews Road. We previously had obtained approvals in 2019 for a main brewery building, rice polishing building, wastewater treatment facility, all in association with the Sake Brewery. The building permits associated with our request are building permit number 15508-19 and building permit 16220-21. As stated, we are seeking a reduction of the building permit extension fees. This is pursuant to the provisions of the town's fee schedule, which does allow the town board authority to reduce building permit renewal fees from the standard of 75% to a number that is more fair and equitable, and also represents the administrative and other costs of the town. With regard to this, we had previously provided two different calculations in determining what was fair and equitable. We looked at 5% of the standard renewal fee based upon the fact that at the time of the request, 95% of the work had been completed. We also ran numbers and provided a table on the estimated cost for all the remaining inspections, which, inclusive of administrative staff, ended up to be $5,000. So what we were seeking was somewhere between $2,500 approximately and $5,000. Last time I was before the board, there was requests with regard to some additional information on the timeline for this. So one of the building permits was scheduled to expire on March 27th, 2022. That was for the main brewery building. It was building permit 15508-19. The second building permit was still valid at the time of the original request when we started this process of renewal. That was building permit 16220-21, and that is for the wastewater treatment facility. These are both intertwined in the fact that the wastewater treatment facility, the completion of that project and the sign off on that, the main building area is contingent upon obtaining the sign off on the wastewater treatment facility. In March 20th, 2020, right at the beginning of COVID, there was a suspension of construction due to COVID. At that point, infections were high in Japan, and the applicant was unable to manage the construction on their end. Building inspector was notified at this time of the suspension, and the applicant provided the building inspector with a closure plan to ensure that there is a safe closing and shuttering of the project while it remains suspended. When construction did recommence, the applicant suffered from material and machinery delays similar to what was just discussed in the last presentation. The delays include production and shipment of wood siding, electrical equipment, insulation, and roofing. But more particular with regard to these delays, why I'm bringing this up is that there were delays for certain machinery and equipment that had to be constructed in Japan, and those individuals that would otherwise install the machinery and come to the United States were limited due to COVID for coming to the United States during that time. So there were significant delays from that period. When we did apply to renew our building permit, we initially came before and spoke to the building inspector with regard to this having two separate building permits, and because the two were intertwined, it was our impression based upon the discussions that with the town building inspector that the work could continue to be completed under the second permit for the wastewater treatment plant facility, as nothing could be cleared on the original without that wastewater treatment facility being cleared first. So that was a contingent piece. Based on these circumstances, they are particularly unique. With the Sake plant, we do have particular machinery that is not available in the United States that they're trying to obtain from Japan. With the COVID circumstances, I know this is a generic item with COVID, but this does extend a little bit further than your generic delays that we do typically have. Based on this, we do not believe that this would create a significant precedent for the board. You are looking at certain machinery for a very particular use that is coming from a very particular location. Coupled that with COVID, this does not create, in our opinion, precedent. And for that reason, we do, actually, sorry, taking a step back, this was referred to the town planning board. The town planning board did provide comment. We responded to those comments. It is also based on our discussions with the building department that the building department has not and will not provide any decision, make a decision on the matter or otherwise provide comment. So at this point, we believe that the board is in position to make their decision, whether that be tonight, if there is sufficient information, or following this hearing.
Who wants to go first?
Don, you go first? No. So, can you just give us a brief overlay of, how close are you to be completed, where the equipment is, if it is not in the building, and basically summarize how much more you have before you are 100% complete?
Yeah, so when we last came before the board, my understanding, we were still right around 5%. I believe that they have moved along closer, but we still have further inspections that need to be completed. The machinery, I can get a better status as to the machinery. To be quite honest, I don't have exact information as to whether that's been delivered, installed, what state that is in. Obviously, COVID restrictions have been lifted to some extent since that time. And when we do talk about recommencing, that we were talking about maybe like 2021. This is, I know that construction has started and continued, but we've gotten held up in this building permit process here. That is one piece of information I can definitely provide to the board.
Well, but can you just clarify? You keep saying that the equipment coming from Japan, all this.
Mm-hmm.
This question's been brought up several times, or we've been talking about it for several times.
Mm-hmm.
Why haven't somebody produced a timeline so we can get a better idea of what direction we're going here?
Timeline of remaining items.
Well, the equipment, is
Yeah.
it still being manufactured? Is it still in China? Or are we waiting 12 more months for another piece of equipment? Is
Understood.
everything in transit?
Yeah.
How long will it take to put in the building?
Understood.
Stuff like that.
And that, I guess just to follow up, that I was providing that in terms of background as to why there was delay, but I guess you're also asking in terms of what our future expenses will be, correct?
No,
We'd like the timeline for
Yeah.
when it's going to be completed.
Yep, okay.
So then, the next question I had, could you just clarify, the water treatment plant, the permit is separate. What delays are you saying that caused that to be a holdup? Because, I'm an infrastructure contractor.
Yes.
And we were classified as essential workers. So a lot of our jobs did not stop.
Yep.
During COVID. What
Understood.
made yours stop and nobody else's stop?
The wastewater treatment facility, I don't believe stopped. What I was trying to address was the fact that the permit for the main building expired on March 27th. We continued operating based upon our discussions with the building inspector under the wastewater treatment facility permit. When it came time to renew that permit, when we looked at that, to renew that wastewater treatment permit, because we are operating underneath that permit for the remainder of the site at this point, when we went to renew that, that's where this delay would have attributed to. The delay that we have doesn't necessarily go to the wastewater treatment facility itself. It's more involved with the main building. And then now these are all intertwined based on the fact that the way it's been treated. With our delay for the initial main building to get that renewed, we continued operating under the wastewater treatment facility permit. We're now here to renew those permits as they are still outstanding. There still are final inspections to be done.
And what stopped the actual initial site work, the drainage and the stuff that was outside?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the whole project got stopped and fenced in and everything.
Certainly.
Why couldn't they keep working on the site and stuff like that? I can't grasp that.
From what we were told, there's coordination going back and forth with Japan because of certain restrictions in Japan and what they had going on their side there. They decided to suspend the project. So the decision to suspend the project was 2020.
So can you just clarify, was there a financial decision on their end? I
believe on their end, it was just, there was difficulties with coordination. And given the difficulties with coordination, they decided rather than trying to push through those items and possibly have issues on it, I don't know if they were running into issues with the coordination, But our understanding is not that it was financial, that it was more in terms of just coordination with COVID, with the restrictions that were in place, that they wanted to take a step back and hold off on the project for a period until they can push this forward on a more continuous basis, because I feel like it was likely at the point they're getting certain pieces in piecemeal, they can get certain items, but they couldn't get other items. They decided just to halt the project until they can continue on in a more continuous pattern.
Okay, I got something for you. All right, the non-essential work, the essentials obviously kept going. The Governor Cuomo allowed in June of 20 to let the non-essential projects to go forward, and they just had to follow certain PPE and controls like that, because we're all involved in construction works.
Understood.
Okay? When you guys stop the construction, you're saying it's for coordination efforts. Consigli is a large construction management firm also. They know how to do all this.
Yes.
So why would they stop the entire project for 7-8 months? It doesn't, there's other things that could have been done out there that were done, and they were rushing at that point. You know, it was like going crazy. That didn't have to stop. So I'm thinking that half of your problem in 21 and 20 delayed you 8 months, had nothing to do with COVID. Because I'm also a general contractor in the commercial industry.
Understood.
You know, and we looked at your project also. So we know that, I understand the equipment end of it that goes inside. It's like IBM, it's specialty equipment. I could understand that. When did that actually even show up? Because that's in the building now. You know,
Is it all in the building, though? We didn't get clarity on that yet.
It's all, what they're waiting on is stuff in the what do you call it, the sewer treatment plant. And then, when did you start picking up construction again? From when, as of June, because we've all had projects, and once he opened up the non-essential projects, we all had to go like gangbusters to try to make up the lost time.
Understood.
All right, and materials, we did have problems. I mean, we had to pay expediting fees. I mean, there was a lot of that going on. I mean, we had to buy stuff from outside the areas, definitely. Okay, and I know we were all having delivery issues, but we did not stop. We kept going.
Understood.
We were working down at Legoland. They shut that down. And there's all stuff coming out of Japan for Legoland. Legoland hit its mark. We finished it on time. So your maybe specialty items like all the stainless steel things that are in there, they're like clean room, you know, that may have had a problem.
Yeah.
But obviously Japanese own Legoland too.
Yeah.
So we finished our project on time and, you know, within their budget. All right. And why did you wait until after your permits expired? That's what's got me.
Well, and I think, I don't want to interrupt, but I think you addressed that in that one was set to expire in March of 2022, but they could continue operating under the wastewater treatment plant permit, so that by the time that was going to expire towards the end of September, communication had started before that expiration.
Correct.
Because I think that is a confusing part, because we look at it as, well, this permit expired, so you delayed, why didn't you tell anybody? But it seems as though communications did occur, at least according to your records and information.
Yes, to our understanding, there was communication that took place with even the March expiration that we continued operating under the wastewater treatment facility.
See, all that would have to be done by resolution, I would assume.
And that would expire by...
I just don't think we can.
I mean, it could be a requirement, but we're just dealing on the information that we have and that he has.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to counter what he's telling us.
And that was based on discussions with the building inspector.
Yeah, but the building inspector, if he does an authorization to, huh? No. If he did, he's not authorized to negotiate fees. So the fees should have been already spoken to when you got your extension. If there was any fees.
Well, so we continued operating under a single permit, wastewater treatment facility permit that was still valid at the time. We applied to renew that, and that's what's prompted this application.
I think he gave you a free year. That's what I see. But then in 22, you're still not done. And you're still not done. So it's an extension. You know, we're very concerned about setting the wrong precedent also. I mean, and then no one, you know, your analysis of what we should pay wasn't a very good idea. Put it that way.
If I understand, what you had just said a few minutes ago was that it come September, before the second permit was to expire, you applied for the renewal of both, which implies that you did know there were 2 permits needed and 2 permits.
We have there are 2
necessary.
permits, but we were informed that we could continue operating under the
But by
valid
September,
permit.
you must have realized you needed 2 because you said you were applying for renewal of
Well,
both.
they would still need to be closed.
Pardon?
They would still both need to be closed, so that's why we had to apply to renew both. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to close out the 1 permit.
I received a call from your construction general contractor, construction management in, I forgot when it was. It was after the permit had expired. He said the building inspector's going to no longer do any inspection. He's going to shut us down. Okay, and I had talked to the building inspector, and he says, listen, they got expired permits. I have the right to shut them down. And I asked if he could continue because they got to be getting close. This was before I knew anything about, you know, you needed extensions and any of the fee issues were there.
Yes.
So I talked to Scott Cruikshank, who you know, and I said, I'll look into it further. That's when I found out why he was shutting you down. Number one, you need the sewer treatment plant to be completed to get a CO on the main building.
Correct.
I hope you didn't misconstrue that as you can finish the big building because of the sewer treatment
No.
plant's not done. They're 2 separate permits, 2 separate things.
That's
They do coincide because it's like a septic system. You got to have it done before you can get your CO.
Understood.
So, I mean,
But didn't you just say, that's what I wanted to clarify, didn't you say that you were working, when the 1 permit for the building expired, you were still working because the wastewater permit was active, you were still doing work? I don't understand how we're mixing them up. The wastewater plant should be for the plant only, the building permit should be for the site work and structure. I don't think you're explaining it right, because I'm sure that the building department didn't tell you that you could do
Work
work
off
on the
another
building
permit.
off the wastewater plant. It just doesn't,
That's the
something just
understanding that we've
doesn't.
been given
Yeah,
from.
and I think that
It's
that
a hearsay
then-
kind of.
Yes, so that's what we're dealing with now, is that we're being presented this side. We have no building inspector to counter, and you all have heard one version, but we don't have any records to support that, and we weren't given any response when we asked for a referral. So I feel we're at a bit of a disadvantage, kind of going off of information that we don't have, that they don't have, and we're playing this game of he said,
she said.
and it's kind of disadvantageous to the applicant who has provided information, has provided the records. I mean, if the supervisor and the board want to ask the building inspector to come in and speak to this, I think that's the only way you're going to get answers to resolve that, and it should be part of a record. Because clearly something happened. These permits have gone on for multiple years. They've gone through extensions. There is enough documentation to show that. So whether or not it was all done correctly, I can't speak to. But I don't know how much that will influence the board's decision as to whether or not it wants to grant the reduced permit fee, which is what's being asked of you now. Is that all?
But basically, you need a permit for another year. I mean, being from September to this coming September?
No,
The
he needs
renewal
one
would
from
be
20
for,
The
from,
renewal would be from March to March, so it's
till
really
whenever.
almost,
We don't know
Well,
anymore.
we don't even know March to March, because I never got the
Well, that's
answer
what
of
I'm
what's the total substantial completion and what's the final closeout date. If we knew that, then that put me in a better perspective how close
That's for
they
the
are
main
getting
building,
done.
because you got to be getting close, because last I heard they were doing their cleaning, and they weren't going to let anybody in there without a, you know, asbestos-type suits and the IBM-type suits.
Yeah, and Supervisor, to go back to your point earlier, the understanding that we could continue operating under the wastewater treatment facility plant permit wasn't to finish the building and open that. The understanding was based on the fact that it's out there, it's known that we cannot operate without that wastewater treatment facility plant. So that's why they were continuing to operate underneath that one, because we could never open the other without that. We could never open the main building without the wastewater treatment.
No, I understand that.
So the client did know that. They weren't trying to go out from under.
Oh, no,
and
no,
try
I
to
thought
fish.
maybe there
Yeah.
was a misunderstanding there. That's
No,
why.
I think
That's
that
a
was the
separate permit,
basis.
I think you're right.
though. I think there was.
Yeah.
And how about Casiglia? Have they provided you with a construction schedule to close out the project? that
I
you
do not have a construction schedule from Casiglia.
I mean, we discussed about this last time you were here about,
I'd also like to know if you got, if they were allowed any extended general condition fees when you shut that project down for 8 months.
Okay.
Because we don't want to hurt the plant, but we have other projects of same size and greater that we don't need to change and set precedents that we have to deal with later on.
I understand that. I think the focus here was, we were trying to focus on the fact of the uniqueness in terms of the machinery that is coming in and the delay, but I understand where you would need more additional information on that to even make a decision to that fact. So.
Yeah, we don't have enough information from your side. We will speak with the building inspector. Or we'd have to have maybe a workshop with them come in during the day and bring Don in. I think that would be wise. Better than
Perhaps.
So that's what
Are there any other questions, any other information that we want from the applicant? Anybody? No? Okay.
Yeah, your original schedule, the original contract schedule with the durations in it, and then the amended schedule, because they had to update it when you guys did the shutdown.
Okay.
We'll be able to read those and identify the durations, if they were extended, what the durations, they'll put all that in their schedule. They do a CPM anyway.
Can you say it again? How long were they shut down because of the delay in getting machinery parts? How long did they delay the project, shut it down?
So they began, I apologize, I have to just go back here in the timeline, but on March 20th, 2020, we
Right,
received
but
correspondence.
once Governor Cuomo allowed non-essential projects to go forward, which I think was June,
Yes.
from that point, when did you start? We understand the COVID, nobody did anything.
So the concern is not so much March, but
Yeah,
when we
it's
shut down
from
the-
when
yeah.
Cuomo said, okay, non-essential projects can move forward, they need to follow PPP and all those rules, and you're allowed to work,
Okay.
all right?
Yep, understood.
Because it sounded to me as if they voluntarily shut the project down.
We received correspondence stating that they were shutting down the project, but that is around the same timeline as there were ordinances, so I'll get clarification as to whether that was entirely voluntarily or if that was just in response to what was going on COVID-wise. And it could be Japan, it could be from the Japanese side or it could be from this side. I'll confirm.
Understood. Things were a little different in Japan.
Yeah, so I'll confirm.
okay.
So, and also, if they were charged any additional fees because of the shutdown,
Okay.
this way we can make an educated decision,
Mhm.
Yeah.
correct?
Too many.
Correct me when I'm wrong.
Here.
I think that helped. I think that the argument here and what you're advocating for your client was the uniqueness of the project. I know you gentlemen work in the area. You can speak to the circumstances here. I think when it was coming from halfway around the world, that was really where the hangup was, why there was such a delay. You're dealing with a sake brewery, that the mechanisms and the equipment are going to be specialized, that it wasn't something they could probably outsource quickly. And I think that you answered those questions. You'll get the information about the additional ones, and then the board will
One last one, make a
Proceed.
note, when did that equipment show up?
And I mean, while the equipment is
Work
the most
for it.
unique part, the design of the building as well, I mean, it wasn't parts that were readily available. It's not like something that could go to Home Depot or things like that for siding, some of the siding choices that they made, the wood choices that they made,
Yeah.
the roof choices.
Talking to guys that have been there.
To come from Home Depot.
Yeah, but it's not, I'm not saying it's just necessarily Home Depot, but it's an item that's a little more specialized.
No, I understand. It's easy to get the Legos.
Nobody was not having Legos.
So are we
I have
putting a
probably enough
timeframe on
Legos in
this
my
to
basement to
revisit
build
this, or
Lego
what's the,
land.
Well, what I'd like to do is see if I could set up a meeting here, not during the board meeting, that we can discuss and have a discussion with, we can get the building inspector in here, maybe one of your site supers, whoever spoke to him and got this information would be beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see this done.
That'll work.
Yes. I mean, I feel like the board will be in a position to make a decision by
Yes.
next month, because every time he comes here, they're paying, and every time he does research, they're paying. So, I mean, just to be mindful that we will make a decision.
Okay, thank you.
I'm had to fly back.
Yeah.
Cancel that trip.
I can say for
no,
myself,
I
I
can
would
take
like
a
to
plane
see the
real
project finished.
Okay.
All right, thank you, I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yep.
And then now you know where we're sitting, so
Understood. And thank you again for pushing us back.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
you can say whatever you want.
Before we go to the resolutions, did you have anything else, the Bellafield applicants, about the ODA? We're good, it's been reviewed, we're all set. Okay.
Okay, on to resolutions.
On to the resolutions. Resolution 123-1 of 2023, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to allow Vanderwater and Vanderwater LLP, Kyle W. Barnett Esquire of Council, to enter into a consent order and judgment to settle the tax certiorari proceedings brought by East Park Mobile Home Sales and Court, Inc., against the Town of Hyde Park for the tax year 2019.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Resolution 123-2 of 2023, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to allow Vanderwater and Vanderwater LLP Kyle W. Barnett Esquire of Council to enter into consent order and judgment to settle the tax certiorari proceedings brought by Market Street Mobile Home Park LLC against the Town of Hyde Park for the tax year of 2021 and 22.
May I have a second?
Second?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Motion carried.
Resolution 123-3 of 2023, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to approve budget revisions to the Town of Hyde Park budget for the period of January 2023, budget revisions number 2023-01.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Can I just say thank you to the controller for getting this done on a timely manner? He said he would, and he did.
Yep, as soon as
Putting
you
in
told him.
Conservation.
Can I clarify that? You're giving him a compliment?
Got it.
Okay.
Well, a thank you anyway.
He did it the next day.
I'd like to make a comment about the next resolution, 123-4 of 2023. So this does deal with the open development area for Phase 2 of Bellafield. That today we did receive a memo from the town engineer with regard to the ODA amendment related to the road sections. That memo did have certain conditions in it and comments that were made. Those will be adopted into the resolution. A copy will be attached by Donna, the town clerk. So we just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Don, this one's you.
Resolution 123-4 of 2023, resolution authorizing the establishment of an open development area for Phase 2 of Bellafield Development Project pursuant to Town Law, Section 280-A4.
All right, Don, may I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Resolution 123-5 of 2023, resolution approving the height variations for 6 buildings within the Bellafield Development Project.
Okay. I need a second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Resolution 123-6 of 2023, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to approve a no-cost change order to the Hyde Park, New York State Route 9 Pedestrian Improvement Capital Project construction contract for the Colorusso and Son Incorporated.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Resolution 123-7 of 2023, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to approve the town's financial support regarding the hiring of coordinator for the Hudson River Drinking Water Intermunicipal Council.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Resolution 123-8 of 2023, resolution authorizing the release of the balance of escrow from the Town of Hyde Park Zoning Board of Appeals according to the resolution number 12-2022-E.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Resolution 123-9 of 2023, resolution authorizing the town supervisor to execute the shared services agreement with the County of Dutchess for automotive repair and maintenance for the Town of Hyde Park vehicles.
May I have a second?
Sorry.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
There should
Okay,
be a
motion
space
carried.
for it.
Somebody have a kid in?
Resolution 123-10 of 2023, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to appoint as town historian Carney Reinvalt.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Carney's
All
here.
right.
Thank you, Carney.
That's exciting.
Back to your old job.
Welcome back.
Resolution 123-11 of 2023, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to amend Resolution 13-58 of 2023, establishing the 2023 incumbent part-time and seasonal staff wage rates for employees for the Town of Hyde Park to reflect the addition of the position for part-time deputy zoning administrator and to correct the error in the wage amount for the hourly deputy building inspector.
Thank you, Don. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Resolution 123-12 of 2023, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to approve vacation carryover for the Town of Hyde Park Police Officer Joshua Kemledge.
May I have a second?
Second?
Lynn? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
Resolution 123-13 of 2023, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to approve vacation carryover for Town of Hyde Park Police Assistant Derek Byrne.
Okay. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Resolution 123-14 of 2023, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to appoint part-time Recreation Director Morgan Skirdat to the Town of Hyde Park Recreation Department.
Sorry, it's Recreation Leader, not Recreation Director. Just want to make sure.
It says oh, yes.
It says
I'm
Recreation
sorry.
Leader.
Okay. May I have a second?
Second.
Don? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Sorry, John.
Resolution 123-15 of 2023, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Police Chief Robert Benson to attend the Recruiting for Law Enforcement course February 27th and 28th, 2023, at the Town of Fishkill Police Department in Fishkill, New York.
All right, may I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
Can I just say there should be a DE in Department Fishkill?
Say that again, I'm sorry?
It should be DE Department, is missing the E.
Doesn't change the meaning.
Spelling error. Sorry,
Duly noted.
can't help it.
I'll correct that.
With
That's
the
the correction.
territory.
That's it. Any new and old business?
Just an update for the town hall. I know that John Golden's anxious to get the town hall addition going. The plans are being finalized. Al's been reviewing them. They know that they're going downstairs within the next week or so, and CPL will be coming in and doing a review with Don Westermeyer so that we could try to stay on schedule and get the bid package out for March so that we can get this project underway. We are working as quick and as fast as we possibly can because I know John Golden is concerned, and we're getting there. We're almost to the finish line. So I just wanted to give the people an update on that.
Hang in there, John. Okay, any other business? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Got it.
Everybody get home safe.
Yeah, me too.